Welcome to the Full Moon Film Buff, episode 132. We're going to talk about Tomb of the Werewolf from 2004. I rented this from Scarecrow Video. I had not seen this before. Also, fair warning, I ran out of content links on this episode and I had to choose which links to use carefully. As always, we start with the prominent crew and cast. You can always find links to a more complete credit list in the show notes. The film was directed by Fred Olen Ray, written by Fred Olen Ray, credited as Sherman Scott. Special effects were by Rick Bongiovanni and John Carl Buechler. Fred Olen Ray is a fascinating personality in the world of cinema. As a prolific film director, producer, and screenwriter, he made a name for himself in the realm of low-budget exploitation, horror, and B-movies. Ray's love for filmmaking was sparked at an early age by classic monster movies and sci-fi films, and he launched his career in the 70s. His debut film, The Brain Leeches from 1978, was made on a shoestring budget of less than $300. After moving to Hollywood with aspirations of working in special effects and makeup, Ray eventually carved out a niche as a director, writer, and editor. Known for keeping production costs low, he strategically allocated funds to bring recognizable names to his projects, collaborating with genre legends such as Sybil Danning, Linnea Quigley, Brinke Stevens, and Paul Naschy. Ray's filmography includes cult classics like The Alien Dead in 1980 and Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers in 1988. Despite the modest budgets of his films, he has a loyal fan base and earned respect as a stalwart of independent cinema. Beyond directing, Ray has authored books about the film industry and remains an influential voice in the B-movie community. Notably, he lent a 16mm camera to a young Quentin Tarantino. In addition to his cinematic achievements, Ray had a career as a professional wrestler under the ring name Fabulous Freddie Valentine. Rick Bongiovanni had a career as an Army combat engineer, sheriff's deputy, before becoming a special effects and makeup artist. He has worked for FX powerhouses such as K&B Effects, Patrick Tatopoulos, Jim Henson's Creature Shop, Amalgamated Dynamics Incorporated, Greg Canham Creations, and Optic Nerve Studios. We first talked about John Carl Buechler when we covered Project Metal Beast from 1990. The cast includes Paul Naschy as Valdemar Daninsky, John Henry Richardson as Richard Daninsky, Michelle Bauer as Elizabeth Bathory, Stephanie Bentley as Amanda/Eleanor Daninsky, Danielle Petty as Melanie, billed here as Kennedy Johnston, Jane Andrews as Christy, Beverly Lynn as Leslie, Ed Johnson as Tony, billed as Leland J., and Frankie Cullen as Steve. Paul Naschy entered our radar over 100 episodes ago with the first El Hombre Lobo film, La Marco del Hombre Lobo, from 1968. I'm sad to see him go. We previously discussed John Henry Richardson when we covered the Wasp Woman remake from 1995. Michelle Bauer is one of the most prominent actresses in B-movies and horror films throughout the 80s and 90s. She began her career in the adult film industry in the late 70s under the name Pia Snow and appeared in Penthouse. Her breakthrough in B-movies came with her role in The Tomb in 1986, and she quickly became a fixture in films directed by David DeCoteau, Fred Olen Ray, and Jim Wynorski. She frequently collaborated with fellow Scream Queens Linnea Quigley and Brinke Stevens, forming what fans often called the Scream Queen Trinity. Bauer continued to appear in independent films and attends horror conventions where she meets with fans and discusses her extensive career in the genre. Danielle Petty was discovered by Ron Howard when he shot a movie using her grandparents' house in Washington. I can only recommend this film to devoted fans of Paul Naschy or werewolf completionists. It's a direct-to-video production with significant limitations in both budget and execution. The obvious comparison here is La Casa del Terror from 1960. The parallels are plentiful. In both films, we have a superstar actor in the twilight of their career, most famous for playing a werewolf, acting in a language not their own. The American Lon Chaney switched to Spanish, while the Spaniard, Paul Naschy, moved to English. Neither movie is good. Both superstars are giving their performance everything they have. This film is also similar to Wolfhound with regards to the number of boobs on display. But this is the better film. Now let's move to the synopsis. Elizabeth Bathory makes a deal with the devil. Bathe in blood to stay eternally young and beautiful. Elizabeth later tricks Count Valdemar Daninsky into selling his soul to save the life of his wife, Eleanor, who is dying of the plague. She is cured, but Valdemar murders her himself when the deal's underhanded details are revealed. He transforms into a werewolf. In the modern day, Melanie Charles hosts the TV show Current Mysteries, covering unexplained phenomena. Her boyfriend, Tony, meets with Richard Daninsky. As the last surviving Daninsky, Richard has inherited a family estate in the old country. He wants Tony to bring the TV show crew to locate the treasure family lore says is hidden there. Hey, she's watching the Mad Monster on TV. When Melanie and Tony arrive at the castle, the other members of the crew, Christy, Leslie, and Steve, are already there along with Richard and his housekeeper, Elizabeth. We recognize Elizabeth as the original witch herself. The last person to arrive is Amanda Collins, a psychic investigator brought in to help locate the treasure. Amanda is portrayed by the same actress who portrayed Eleanor. After dinner, Elizabeth shows Richard the family crypt and the tomb of Waldemar Daninsky. Upon opening the tomb, Richard is thrilled to find the pure silver cross/dagger that is buried with Waldemar. Elizabeth hypnotizes him with this black necklace that she wears around her neck. Richard removes the cross from Waldemar's skeleton. Waldemar reanimates and tears Richard apart. His howls echo through the castle. Waldemar also then kills a couple of peasants on the grounds, randomly. When Waldemar is back in human form, he stalks Amanda. At breakfast, Elizabeth notices her hands are aging, so she lures Christy down to the crypt. Elizabeth hypnotizes Christy, chains her to a wall, and slits her neck, catching the blood in a cup. Waldemar murders 2 more peasants and a stranded motorist. Amanda confronts Elizabeth, who recognizes her as the reincarnated Eleanor Daninsky. Amanda wants to lay Waldemar to rest, but Elizabeth wants him to continue killing. Apparently, Elizabeth is trapped now because of Waldemar killing Eleanor. If Waldemar delivers 6 souls to Satan, Elizabeth explains she can move on to bigger and better things, which, by my count, he's already killed 6 people. Maybe she means 6 more. I don't know. It's not explained. Elizabeth attacks Amanda with the silver cross dagger, and in the fight, Amanda breaks Elizabeth's necklace, and Elizabeth just explodes. Waldemar enters the castle and attacks Leslie. Amanda confronts Waldemar with their love, which will span through the ages of time. She tells him that this must end now. When Waldemar advances on her, she stabs him with the silver cross. Waldemar reverts to human form and dies again. Amanda lies down beside him. They burst into flames and disappear. Melanie, Tony, and Steve return to the castle, having failed to locate Christy. They find Leslie alone and with slashes on her cheek. When Tony asks her what happened, she replies, "Something that's going to change me for the rest of my life," and leaps onto his neck, her fangs bared. The end. The werewolf transformations here rely on poor CGI constrained by budgetary limitations. The Wolfman's appearance pays homage to the traditional werewolf designs and maintains a basic aesthetic compared to modern interpretations. The creature stands out mostly for its notably dense fur coverage, with barely any visible skin showing on either its face or hands. This final El Hombre Lobo film borrows its werewolf most directly from the 1981 film The Return of the Wolfman. Daninsky becomes a werewolf as a result of Elizabeth Bathory's satanic machinations. He's put into a state of suspended animation by a silver cross/dagger. Later, he is reanimated and goes on a killing rampage before love saves him by killing him. But there are also echoes of 1973's The Return of Walpurgis here. The moon has no impact on this version of the werewolf. So, if you like lycanthropes, like, share, and subscribe. Contribute your thoughts and additional observations in the comments below. Let me know what I missed or what you noticed. Next, I plan on discussing Nazareno, Cruz, and the Wolf from 1975. Keep your eye on the moon, a silver bullet in the chamber, and we'll see you back next episode.